Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Monday's Wealth Creation Show. Welcome to everybody on TikTok. And today, Jim, we are going to be talking about the 6 key drivers for motivation. So, motivation or daily motivation can be quite a challenge for some people, and think that you need to really think about what your motivation is and what the drivers are. And I've got 6 of them today, but obviously there's a lot more involved depending on the individual and what really drives you for your own motivation and success and things. Have you found that over
I'll
the years?
I'll give you a real motivator straight away. You're going to be broke for the rest of your life.
Well, number one of my 6 common drivers is money and reward. So
It's literally I don't I think we'll live. It's human nature just to ignore the obvious.
yeah,
With the fact that you probably can't do anything about it, or you feel you can't do anything about it, and that's why your brain is designed to ignore the obvious because it's obviously so painful
yeah,
if it knows you can't do anything about it. But everybody can do something about it. It's 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 because they don't know what they don't know. That's the key here. And this is what the wealth creation shows are all about, is to actually empower you with the knowledge that
yeah,
you don't know in order to make the informed decisions about what you should do next in order to increase your wealth and prosperity overall over the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years,
yeah,
lifetime, whatever it is you want. You can potentially achieve it within reason, remember. But
yeah.
you'd be surprised at what is possible out there. I spoke to someone the other day and I showed them simply why just saving £200 a month over the next 40 years, £200 a month every single month over the next 40 years, will give them a pension of 1.2 million.
Really? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And it's like,
So
this is a no brainer.
is that putting that into a pension scheme?
Yeah, put into a pension, that's it. And the growth rate, and the different growth rates and what that would be. So 1.2 million. It's like, this is pretty obvious. It's just we complicate it and we think it's
Yeah,
absolutely, well, I don't, because I know, because I've done it. But everybody else thinks it's absolutely impossible to do because I tell you what, everybody else would be doing it. Everybody else is not doing it because they have no faith in themselves at all about the fact that they can achieve it, or they don't even want to look into it in case it's something they might. I tell you what, it might be too much hard work for them. You're literally just putting money in a pension.
yeah,
That's it. You're letting all the work get done by someone else, which is a pension provider who actually has a good, maybe got a fantastic performance level, and therefore you'll be a lot better off in the years to come. But no one thinks about that. Think, oh, £200 right now is worth a lot. It's like, but if you're getting a salary increase or you're getting a step up in your career, and you get that sort of increase, then you kind of should be looking straight away to put that away. I mean, at any time you could actually stop doing it. So you've always got that
that get out.
um yeah, you've always got that to fall back on, the fact that you could stop paying the £200 in whenever you need it, but discipline yourself to do that right now. And even if it's 50 or 100 or whatever, you're going to
Yeah,
certainly be better off the next 40 or 50 years than you think you are. Because there's not going to be a pension from the government, I'll tell you that. Because UK PLC and World PLC will be stony broke and no
hmm,
money. There's either going to have to be some sort of significant reset, or it's going to be the status quo. And that's the capitalistic system we've got right now. And it's here to stay, whether you like it or not. So you better make sure you're in a position to do something. As I said, I've said it time and time again. Two-thirds of people will probably, well, 54% of people will actually retire on two-thirds of what they couldn't afford to live on in the first place. And the expectation is you're supposed to take less holidays. You're supposed to take, your car's going to have to last you longer. You're supposed to go out less. You might, you'll not have the enjoyment and the peace of mind to do all the things you really want to do when you want to do them, because you've not you've not put away enough for your retirement or for your later years. You didn't need to retire, by the way. There's nobody's over you and says you've got to retire by 65, because the average lifespan will be 90 sometime soon.
yeah.
And that's what's going to happen as more and more people get older, and more people arrive on this planet, and more people are born as a result, and more people have to work to maintain that system. We're probably the most fortunate right now, as we've got the best situation as we are ever will be in the history of mankind. But as more people arrive on this planet, we're going to have to come up with new ways in order to make sure we can sustain that. New
Yeah,
ways of eating, new ways of treating
waste.
things like sewage and that, when you think about it, all these different things. If that isn't the motivation you need in order to make sure you and your children, your grandchildren, and your great-great-grandchildren, oh, they'll fend for themselves. Well, good luck to you. And will they ever remember you for what you've no bothered about doing for them?
Yeah.
Because effectively, you're going to have them, so you make sure they're looked after, and that's what every generation should do after each other. So if that's not a driving motivation, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yeah, you really need to think about the long term. And I think when you say about pension schemes and things, think about the long term financial gain and use that as your driver. And think about, well, like you say, your legacy and what you leave behind as well. Definitely.
The pension schemes are a snooze fest. Nobody wants to talk about pension
Yeah.
schemes because they're the most boring things ever. But I tell you what, it'll not be pretty boring when you're sitting on a sunny beach and everybody's still having to work, or they're absolutely skint and they can't be where you are because you've put something aside and you're not even working for it really. You're just taking money from your savings or your money you're making now, and you're putting it aside for provision for looking after yourself in the future. So it's a delayed gratification system.
Yeah.
And if you can practice delayed gratification and invest it wisely, then great. You're not managing it, by the way. It's pension companies managing it for you. All you're doing is, for example, for me, it's UK equities. What could go wrong? It's Diageo, it's BAT Industries, it's Glencore Exploration, it's blue chip stock that pays out every single time. This is a no-brainer.
The delayed gratification, I mean, I think we've done a whole show on delayed gratification, but you also mentioned there, Jim, about pain and avoiding pain, and people do really, their desire to avoid pain is really great, and that's a brilliant driver as well, because people, they avoid pain in order and obviously look to gain pleasure, as they say, as opposed to that. Pain's a
Every
very
time
big,
imagine if every time you didn't pay into your pension every month, you got an electric shock.
yeah. You would
Do you think more people would probably pay into their pension if it was a
Yeah.
really sore one? And then you got electric shocks on that time for until you actually paid into your pension. You'd have the whole world paying.
Yeah, no.
It's extreme. It's so extreme, and you could argue about the fact that it's 1984, they're dictating what I should be doing. But the reason that the government dictates that you should be putting money away for your pension and your provision for your future is because the fact that they know what's coming, but they don't want to tell you. That's why they're insistent. So if that's not the motivation, the key driver, I don't know what is. But you're going to discuss other ones as well. There is a lot of motivating forces that drives people, but
Yeah.
I think for me personally, it's driven by the, I know I could do it. I actually know I could do it. It took me 5 years for somebody to teach me, you could actually do this. I have faith in you. My mentors actually used to say to me every single time, I've got faith in you. I know, I know you could do this, Jim. And all the books I read and all the rest of it, as a result of that, then started to expand my mind. Actually, I started to believe in myself and I started to have faith in myself. And as a result, it was a foregone conclusion to be successful in
Yeah.
anything I wanted to do.
So that whole learning process and then building your knowledge and then building that confidence in yourself is a big factor in your own.
It takes 10,000 hours of learning to be an expert in your field.
Mhm.
That's 5 years, by the way, full time.
Right.
That's 5 years full time, 37 and a half hours a week for almost 5 years. But you'll become an expert in your field and you'll become the top expert in that field. And therefore, you'll probably be the one that earns the most in that field, where other people kind of just treat it as a side hustle. Just a
Mhm.
side hustle, and it's like, it goes alongside what they're doing, and they dabble with it, and there's a hobby to them, and they don't take it seriously, and they don't learn enough about it, and they don't understand exactly the potential that it actually has. That's why when you get fanatics in Bitcoin, you get fanatics in gold, you get fanatics in silver. Some of these people are actually the people that actually understand that market, but also some of them I don't understand, and they're just saying they're just replicating what somebody else says that they've
Yeah.
heard, and they think they're really successful because they're running about in a fancy car on tick.
Yeah.
That's no really that successful if you've borrowed it to buy a car. You don't borrow to buy a depreciating asset. You borrow to buy an appreciating asset, one that goes up in value and earns income at the same time. That's why you borrow, and you borrow lower to make money at a higher rate, so you get the differential on someone else's money. Opium. Other people's money. I love opium. Other people's money. Every single time. Give it to me every single time.
Yeah. And then I think as well, when you think about motivation and things, I've put a few questions in here, like you really need to think about what actually motivates you to succeed in life, and what makes you feel good, and what are you passionate about, and what do you actually fear, and what do you desire? Do you know, there's questions that you really need to sit and ask yourself and answer them truthfully and be quite honest with yourself as well.
Oh, I know the one I fear is the mountain I've got to climb to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's the fear I've got. And I think, do I really want to climb that mountain? How much more do I need?
Yeah.
Really? I need to have all the money in the world. And what's that going to do for me? It's not going to enhance my life. It's not going to make any better. I'll buy a big yacht to avoid tax, because that's what people do when they buy big yachts. It's actually a tax avoidance scheme.
Yeah.
When you buy a big yacht, it's a tax avoidance scheme. That's what it's designed to do. That's why they sell 10, 50 million pound yachts, 100 million pound yachts, because everybody goes, you must be nuts. It's like, no, this is a tax avoidance scheme when they buy big yachts like that for a reason. And I know that because I've read up about it. But what do you fear? Do you really want to climb that mountain again? Do you really want to climb another mountain? Because you now realize the journey that you have to take. But then you could get other people to do that for you and actually climb the mountain for you.
Yeah, instead of trying to keep putting hurdles in front of yourself when you could actually lighten the burden by obviously having a team around you.
But then you said, what are you passionate about? So passionate. So what are you passionate about then? What are you passionate about?
I mean, obviously, I'm passionate about what I do on a daily basis with lettings and the learning and the knowledge and legislation, and do you know? But there's a lot of other things like, I mean, people are passionate about travel. People are passionate about, obviously, a lot of people do hiking and Munros and, you know, things like this. And when you think about that, and then use the drivers for how they make you feel, and that kind of endorphins that doing
Does
things
it
like
make
that.
any money for them?
Well, that won't,
Does it
obviously.
increase their wealth? Why are they
No.
doing it then?
But then you do things for pleasure as well.
If it increases your wealth. When you think about the logic of it, does it increase your wealth? This is the point. We've been socially conditioned to think that we should actually, the receptors in our mind as well, and how we are, is we seek pleasure. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Dopamine. That is what we're there to do. And as human beings, we instantly seek pleasure rather than pain. You avoid pain, but you seek pleasure all the time. So if somebody gives you an easy route to have pleasure in your life, you're going to take it, and they're going to pay money for that. This is the difference between becoming a producer who actually provides the pleasure and the consumer who pays for it. So do you really want to be a consumer, or do you want to be the producer? Because I tell you what, the producer can still have the pleasure because they've got the thing that creates the pleasure in the first place. So they could have it any time they want. Let me give you a real good example of this. Richard Branson.
Yeah.
Has his own personal island, but he lets people come and stay on his island, and he charges them to come and stay on the island. That's a good financial model.
Yeah.
And that pays for his lifestyle for free.
So you talk about pain and obviously and desire and pleasure and things, but do you think the pull to avoid pain is a lot greater than it is to have the added pleasure of something?
That's why people always look for pleasure, because they don't want the pain. So they seek it as much as possible. And if the pain appears, that's why people become addicted to other things.
Yeah.
Because the addiction serves the purpose of the distraction from the pain it's being caused there and then at that point in time. So people get driven to addiction by pain. Social connection. That's why we've got people addicted to drugs. Because they lack social connection. It's the pain of not having social connection, not having someone to love, or not being loved, which is a bigger driver for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they will do things for the love, even though it's self-destructive to themselves. That's what motivates them to do it, because the drive for love is greater than anything else on this planet.
Yeah. Do you know, a lot of people won't even realise that, and probably won't realise that that's what's driving their actions. They'll be totally oblivious to it.
Every single time when you drill it down, there's something. There's the fear of the pain for not having that, or there's the fear that there's the drive for the love of having that.
Yeah,
That's why people buy things that they like to impress people that they probably don't like, because and they impress these people. They say, "Oh, that's fantastic," and they give them a wee tick in their mind. It's like, "Oh, I'm impressing people."
hmm
I don't go out to impress anybody, to be honest. I'm over that. I couldn't care less what I do. It's like I'll run about in my T25 camper van, 1981, and I'll just enjoy myself, and I'll camp out in the middle of nowhere and swim in a lake and whatever I need to do. But it's not to please anyone else. I do post on social media a lot, and the reason I do that is not to show off, to show people they can have that too.
yeah,
That's why I
yeah.
do it.
Demonstrating it to people. Yeah,
Other than that, I've got no use for social media at all. It's only a mechanism and a tool to do my job more effectively to increase my wealth.
yeah.
Hence the reason
So
why when you're climbing a mountain or something like that, and you're doing it for joy, but you can combine that and you can attract people to what you do and who you are, because they're just like you.
yeah,
And they're more likely to use you for your services, even though it's nothing to
so
do
they
with
relate
climbing.
to you through that. Yeah,
The laws of attraction. People like people just like them. Of course they do.
Mhm.
And if you're in, and that's why I say, could anybody tuning in this right now, I can bet you £1,000,000 that the knowledge you have right now, at least 1,000 people in the world will pay for that. The knowledge that you have right now,
yeah, hmm
the experience you have right now, the failure you have right now. You get 1,000 people easily in the world that'll pay you good money to learn how you failed, so they don't make the
They could
same
learn
mistake.
from it. Yeah,
And yet we all devalue what we are and what we can do and the knowledge and expertise we have, because we think we're worthless. You know why that is? Because you listen to someone else's opinion of you.
yeah.
What someone else thinks of you is none of your business.
I like that saying.
If they want to swill about in their pig swill, let them. If they want to be negative all the time, let them. Just block them out of your life and
Yeah,
don't go near them if that's the case. That's what takes your motivation away. The motivation, the motive for action. That's really what it is.
yeah,
What motivates you? What's going to drive you externally, which is what a lot of people use? Music. What's going to drive you internally, though, is all the reasons that you're doing something for that reason. I mean, this is the classic example is when people have kids. It's like, I'm going to give up smoking, I'm going to give up drinking, we're going to change the lifestyle, I'm going to start running. It's all these different things. He will have a heart attack. It's like, oh my God, I've had a heart attack. I better look after myself now. Stop smoking, stop drinking, and all the rest of it. See the motive for action.
yeah,
It's just happened there. That's what happens to people. So you're either going to be pushed by your circumstances or you're going to be pulled by your dreams.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, and like I say, there's a lot of things, and we've already covered a few already that are
Well, we've
driving
touched on them,
motivation.
but let's drill down to them.
So let's go through, and I put 6 in here, and up there obviously is money and rewards. And people do you know, people do look at money as the most important thing, and would you tend to agree that that's one of the most important thing?
It's right up there with oxygen, isn't it?
Yeah,
Well, I know why they say it. I still chuckle when people say, well, money isn't everything. Yes, it is. Try
especially in,
doing, try doing anything without money.
yeah,
Everybody wants paid for what they're doing. Try getting a cup of coffee without money. You're not getting it. Try buying a car without money. Try walking into, anywhere without money. Try doing anything without money, and you'll be very limited in what you can do. Money is a tool to use for the betterment of yourself and also for the help of to help other people as well in your community
yeah,
at large. I've sat across from people who say, I don't need any more money. Can you make more money? Yeah, I could probably make more money quite easily. Well, go and make it and give it to somebody that really needs it, because they can. So help them then. Go
Yeah.
out and do it and give it to them. Give it to the people that actually need it.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, we're talking about money and rewards and the importance of money, and we've talked about that a wee bit. But helping others is the next one, as you said. If you're already making enough money, if you can make more, keep doing that and help other people with it.
Absolutely. But let's just stick on the money and rewards though. Let's just
Okay.
drill down and talk about this. You were talking about things like without, people without specific goals, people find themselves unsatisfied, their achievements and their,
Yeah.
the things like they're regardless of the money, they just feel
Mhm.
unsatisfied. Money will, honestly, this is the one that grates me as well, is money will never make you happy. Have you tried it lately? Because it's pretty good. I've
Yeah,
had no money and I've lost 1 million. And I tell you what, getting 1 million's far better than losing it.
and losing it. Yeah,
So, in my opinion, money certainly makes you a lot happier than you are. You choose the way you choose how to use that money, and what the driver was in getting that money in the first place is what will make you happy or not. Tyson Fury is a classic example. I saw it the other day, where his wife's on Rob Moore's podcast, and he's just saying about money's never made him happy. He's
Mhm.
actually a lot more unhappy. Well, the money came from the success, but money wasn't the driver for Tyson Fury. It was the title, the fame, and the glory that
Yeah,
he was after. That's what he's after. Now, here's a really good phrase, and you'll hear it in Eye of the Tiger. When you trade your passion for glory, that's your downfall. You have to be passionate. So I
yeah.
think, personally, for me, I think maybe Tyson Fury's lost his passion. Maybe that's where it's all gone wrong for him. Because she said we were a lot more happier when we were just in the the wee hut and we had no
Mhm.
money. Well, maybe you were more happier, but I don't think Tyson was. Because that's probably what motivated him in the first place to actually do something
Yeah,
about it. Because
definitely.
he didn't like the fact, possibly, that his family was sitting in a wee tiny hut or a caravan or whatever it was, and they had no choice or lifestyle. They didn't have any choice. They were stuck where they were. Do you know the acquisition for money makes it a lot easier later on? Even though you don't want to use it for anything, you know it's there and you know it's a safeguard and it's a safety net, and it gives you that feeling of security.
Yeah,
That's what makes you happy. It's not the money.
it's
Think
the
about
feeling.
it.
Yeah,
A lot of people don't understand the first principles is what is it actually you're doing it for? And oh, I'm doing it for the money. You're not doing it for the money. You're doing it for what the money can give you. So what is that? That's what you've got to think about. That's why money is so important, because it's what it can give you is what you're doing it for. And you have to work that out for yourself why you're doing it then, if that's the case.
yeah.
I've had years to think about this and years, and I read loads of books, and I still analyze this, and I still look at that, and I'm a great people observer. I like to look at other people and what they're saying, why they're saying it, analyze their background,
Yeah,
understand them completely, and then come to a formation on the fact that, yeah, okay, I now understand why you're so unhappy, even though you've got all that money. And the reason I know that is because I've been there. I've done it.
yeah.
Money for money's sake is no use at all to you. It's what it can give you. That's the most
Mhm.
important thing.
Yeah, what you do with it and how you make it work for you.
It is. It is really. It's having, and it really, I think the most important thing is the fact that you can do anything you want to do anytime you want to do it. And I've talked about it a lot. This is my whole thing. I couldn't care less about the money in my hand. It's what it can do. It's I can do anything I want to do anytime I want to do it, and the money will still keep coming in regardless.
Yeah,
My ability, it's never about my ability to perform anymore. That's the point. And that's what drove me. So money and rewards is all great. Material possessions, maybe not. But if that's what floats your boat and you feel really good, I'll guarantee you when you get that fancy car and you drive about in it for a couple of months and you realise all the running costs and all the rest of it, and once everybody's congratulated you on getting a fancy car and the honeymoon period is now over, you'll go, Bugger.
Yeah.
I wish it. It's just a bloody millstone round my neck now. It just cost a blooming fortune to run, and it's like I don't get the enjoyment I get out of it before because everybody's got over it. They've now congratulated you, and it's like, okay, he's in his car now, and that's why they go and get another car.
Hmm.
Biggest regret my father ever had, buying so many cars. He just then, it's the one thing he always said to me, biggest
Depreciating
regret
that
ever you
bill.
had, Dad. And he went, buying so many cars. He says, a total waste of money. Every time you're driving off the
Depreciating
forecourt, it was
assets,
just
yeah.
losing money straight away. He says, if I'd been able to keep that money, I would have been able to invest it. I would have had a better quality of life. You guys would have had a better quality of life, and I would have been a lot happier as a result of that. See where that comes from.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you talked about things like helping others as well.
And that's a big thing for you as well, Jim. You've obviously spent a lot of years building your success, building your wealth, and you use a lot of what you make now and put it back into the community and help others and help your family, and and that's a big driver for you.
I would say so, but yeah, let's not talk about me though. Let's talk
Yeah.
about what everybody else. If it's helping others, then definitely that's going to be your primary motivator. But you then have to quantify for yourself exactly who you want to help
Hmm.
and possibly when you want to help them and put some sort of time frame on it. I've known people build multi-million pound empires almost within 2 or 3 years because their young child needed desperate medical care that the
Yeah.
NHS couldn't supply. And they needed long-term care overall because maybe something seriously happened to them, like a brain tumor or an injury, or they developed some sort of illness. It was long term, and they then realised they've got to get their finger out and do something serious here, rather than actually rely on the state to actually give you the handout, and which is never going to come probably. So I've
Yeah.
seen it. I've witnessed them. I've sat down with them. I've spoken to them. I've learnt from them as well, and thought I never ever want to be in that situation. And that's what is a big driver as well. It's helping others. People will say, well, it's, oh, you're just wanting the recognition. I mean, I'm not wanting recognition. It's like,
Hmm.
there's other people. The reason I do want recognition though, when I put it on social media and stuff like that, is because if more people use me, then I'll have even more money to give away.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. So when I appear and say, look, we've given this and we've given that, and we've done this for this community and done that for that community, it's not for somebody to pat me on the back. It's actually for somebody else to go, tell you what, I'm selling my house, I'll get you to do it. And it's like, superb. I've got more money to give away now. It's like, and I'm going to change my strategy when I sit down with people, and I'm just going to say to them from then on, it's like, do you know, if I sold every single house in your area, I'll be able to give you £40,000 into the community every single year. That's the type of driver, I would say. It motivates me overall. So helping others is really important. That's probably the primary thing that's going to drive you through overall and going to make it work for you as a result. So helping others is definitely the one that's going to make a difference. Successful are really, people are not motivated by financial gain, but the passion for helping others is probably the most key and fundamental thing about that. They want to make the world a better place. For example, Bill Gates. I mean, look at Bill Gates, for example. I mean, one of the richest men globally, but he's committed most of his wealth, billions and billions of wealth, actually to the Bill Gates Foundation. Now, Melinda was involved in that as well, but she's no longer. But it's still in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as a result. So that's why they've been huge and giving away a lot of money, because that's what drives them now. We've said this before, Richard. You can only make so much money, and the rest is just for show. So then, why do you need to keep doing it then? What is the driver? How much money do you need to make you happy? And the answer to that is not really any at all. You could be happy anytime you want. It's just the money's the tool to make it a lot more comfortable, a lot more easier for you, and help other people in the process for that reason. So that's one of the most important things. Similarly, Warren Buffett, another billionaire who has given away much of his fortune for good purposes. I mean, he's given away about 99% committed by the time he pops his clogs. So, when you look at Bill and Melinda Gates and how important it is to them, and then you look at Warren Buffett, And then you look at Branson, what he's done with the Virgin Unite Foundation, and how he does. Every single company he runs, by the way, has actually got a foundation that runs alongside it. Now, the cynics will go tax dodge, but it's not. It's just give the money away to people that need it, because we're making enough as it is. So if we're making a lot more, then we can give some of it away to people that really need it and people that need that help and support overall. So these are all the key drivers round about that, and make that fundamental difference overall in people's journeys. So let's come back to things like, for example, let's come back to recognition. Okay, so let's talk about recognition. How important is recognition in this? Well, for many people, recognition is a powerful motivator. Whether it comes from the form of praise or prizes or whatever it is they're getting, recognition can help us inspire to achieve the goals and push beyond our perceived limits. But again, is it recognition you'd be doing this for? You know, the 6 common drivers that motivate people for their entire life, one of them is definitely recognition. And that's what drives people to do stuff, because they want recognized for it. But then when you think about it, how far does it go to the point of the recognition is no longer the driver? Because everybody else recognizes you for doing really good and being in the community and getting involved and being the best person to do that. But then it kind of wears off, because a lot of people maybe do the recognition bit for the appraisal and the degree of comfort they get from that. I've seen it happen quite a lot. For a lot of people, they primarily start out with recognition of your partner or your peers. I'll do it for them. The one thing you should never do is do something for someone else. I like that. Here's a classic example. I'll go out running and I'll get healthier for you, the other person. So they put all the guilt on them and the fact that they're putting on them as a result of that. And what happens out of that is the first time they fall out with them, they go, stuff it, I didn't need to get healthy anymore. Because they were doing it for you. They weren't doing it for themselves. So the key out of this is you need to do things for yourself, and you need to get yourself right. That's the most important thing. So, the recognition will come as a byproduct of what you do right. But you have to be, you don't have to, I think the word is disingenuous in the beginning. Being disingenuous, in other words, not being sincere about why you're doing it, is probably the primary motivating factor. It'll put a lot of people off you as a result of what you do in your actions. There's a classic example of this. What you do shouts so loud, I can't hear you. And sometimes people go for the recognition, don't realize what they're doing at that point in time is actually worse for them, because it's seen in the eyes of other people that it's for the wrong reasons, and they don't know they're doing it for that reason. So research has actually shown that the prospect of earning a reward like positive feedback can increase their performance levels dramatically for that reason, because people crave recognition. I'll give you a really good example: your mother and your father. How important is their recognition of you to you? How many things have you done in the past to please your mother and your father? Some people have actually been into careers as doctors, solicitors, lawyers, whatever that is. They've all done these different careers in the face of trying to get recognition overall, and trying to be somebody's approval. That's what they've always tried to get as a natural result of what they're doing. So recognition is a primary driving factor out of this, and that's why people will actually sometimes become self-destructive, I would say, and it might not be for the best reasons, and it could end up backfiring on them as a result. So you have to be careful that the recognition you seek as a result is not the primary reason you're doing it for, and you have to be doing it for yourself rather than for someone else. What happens if they don't give you the recognition you crave? Then you're probably going to stop doing it. So then you've just wasted your time in doing it in the first place. So it could be a demotivator rather than one of the motivators to get to that point. So you've got to be careful of that recognition, and be aware of the situation at that time. Just texting someone. Give me a second, because it's quite important I get them on. I'm trying to get someone else back on the show. Okay, so recognition is one of them. Many people recognise and all the rest of it. Ultimate recognition is a vital accomplishment that motivates us to reach our goals. I don't know, when you get to an Olympic athlete, do you actually seek recognition for anybody out there? Do you think the actual athletes actually seek the recognition by getting the gold medal anymore? Or do you think the gold medal is actually the driver? It drives them to motivate themselves to get the gold medal, to show them their own self-worth and their own recognition for themselves. They're not expecting the external recognition from anyone else, but they want to show themselves that they can do that. And the gold medal or the silver medal or the bronze medal that they're seeking is the thing that will drive them to do that in the first place. I think that's probably one of the most important things that everybody needs to realize overall. So recognition, probably the fourth one for me out of the sixth one. So we've covered money and rewards, we've covered helping others, we've covered recognition. The next one for me is definitely power and fame. Power and fame are a real primary motivating factor for people. They want that. So, you know, some people actually crave power and they crave the fame that comes out of it. So why do they do that? Well, they measure success in terms of wealth or professional development, achievement, and others emphasize fame or influence. Others emphasize fame or influence and power for that reason. There's no denying that power in itself is one of the most influencing factors in determining one's success. Now, whether we're talking about political power, financial wealth, or a social status, having an impact on the world around us comes down to how much authority we actually wield, clout. Now, you know you've got clout. The reason that you know you've got clout is when someone comes to you for an answer for a problem that they want to solve. In that situation, you know you've got the clout for that reason. And that's why it's important to understand that. So power and fame is all about that. It's about wielding, and some people actually are totally obsessed with it for that reason. Some people are totally obsessed with power and fame, and it inherently becomes negative to them as a byproduct of what they're doing. So it ends up being a negative experience overall when the power and fame, and sometimes as well, there's also maybe an undeniably positive side to this power and fame. I'm not really sure if there is or no, Richard, for power and
Yeah.
fame.
Sorry, I must have lost connection.
That's
there.
fine.
So, yeah.
I'm not really sure about power and fame, about how it could. I think the motivating factor for power and fame is probably one of the most negative factors ever.
It definitely is, but you see that quite a lot, and people have like that real power trip, and that's what they feel like. That's what drives them, and that's not always a good thing. And it brings out a different side to people as well.
Money will reveal your true self. I
Yeah.
can guarantee you that. Your money and power will reveal the true person. So you could be pretending all your days until you get this, but I tell you what, it reveals somebody definitely by their actions. I used to have it years ago when I used to sit down with people and say, "This is how to make $1 million," and I just used to show them the plan how to make $1 million within a certain amount of time. It was a guaranteed plan. I used it myself,
Yeah.
and most people, when I used to say to them, because the one thing you would ask them, they're motivating, what would motivate them? Because that's obviously the primary reason why you would do it then. Because like, why would you do it if you're not wanting anything and you're happy where you are?
Yeah.
And some people, I used to see them running about and says, look, you know, what would be your reasons for wanting to be, you know, wealthy or wanting to make another 5,000 to another 10,000 a month, even in your income. So it's not about maybe being a millionaire. It's maybe about just the fact that making a lot more money and going on fancy holidays and maybe having a fancy car at that point in time. That's maybe where you are in your life. It makes you
Yeah.
feel worth something. And if that's that, then that's fine. That's what you want at that point in time. Trust me, it'll not make you happy though. But get out of your system if you want.
Yeah.
You're probably better hiring the car, by the way, for a couple of weeks. Pay £5,000, hire the car, get out of your system, hand the car back. You've only lost £5,000 rather than probably about 20 or 30 grand if you've bought a car
Yeah.
at about 100,000. But apart from that, so the primary driver I used to hear from some people was, I'm going to stick it in everybody's nose. I'm going to show them how wealthy I am, and they're not going to get anything from me. And I thought to myself, you're not doing this for the right reason. But
Yeah.
that's just me personally. But lo and behold, these people never went on to achieve anything, because that's the type of person they were. They were toxic.
Yeah. That's
But
not the reality.
that thought process revealed them and revealed their true intentions and how they would be to everybody else. All these people that annoyed me, all these people that upset me, I'll rub their nose in it and everything like that. It's like, really, that's all you want to do? And so what are you going to do once that's all over with? Oh, I don't know then. That's how you know nobody's ever going to do it. Because that's not the right reasons behind it. That's negative. This is and then when you think about it, in order for you to be happy, somebody else has got to be unhappy. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, and that's ultimately how, if you're obviously that kind of mindset and that's how you're setting out to do that, in order for you to feel like that, somebody has to suffer.
That is and that happens a lot of times, remember?
Yeah.
And so why does that happen? Now think about this. Sibling rivalry,
Yeah.
where one competes against the other. So one has to lose for the other one to win. That happens quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I taught my kids that, the boys, and I taught Tony that as well, my daughter. And I said, don't you ever, ever do that against your brothers and sisters. That
Pitch
is
yourself
not
again.
that is not what you should be doing. The people you should compete against, if you are going to compete against anybody, is really yourself. But ultimately, it's not your brother and sister; it's everybody else outside of this family.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, if that's what you want to do, that's what you should be doing. You shouldn't be expecting you shouldn't be competing, because there's a wealth of people out there
Yeah.
that you could
So
be
you shouldn't,
competing against.
instead of pitching yourself against your siblings or like you say, your family.
Do you know what I saw? I saw it a lot in estate agency when they were self-employed estate agents. How
Mm-hmm.
how they would fight over the scraps. You know, there's 500 properties listed every single month in the Fife area, 500 to 600,
Yeah.
and literally they've maybe got 5 or 6 properties on the market between them at any one point in time. They're bringing on, and they would fight over them. Oh, that was mine. That should have been mine. That was in my area. And it's like, what about the other 495 with other
Yeah.
agents? Do you never think about going to them and saying that was mine?
Instead of each
No,
other.
they
Yeah.
would fight against each other and they'd fight in house all the time. And it's like, I knew that was never going to last, that model. The
Mm-hmm.
self-employed model just does not last in a state
Yeah.
agency. But and you could see it, because a lot of people were Remax, to coin a phrase, Remax itself. And they're no longer there, a lot of them now, because they don't work like that. Tell you the two are still there, but they've now started their own brand as Napier and Morton.
Yeah.
They're not like that person. That is not what they're like, you see. They don't align with that sort of value. And for years they've been doing it, and I don't know why, probably torturing herself for Susan Morton, but probably torturing herself, emotionally and morally, and the fact that that's not the type of person she is.
Yeah.
I know that. And I know Bruce isn't like that either. So that's why they started on their own eventually. And I was thinking, God, you should have done that years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's
I
like,
could
you know that,
yeah.
type of person. Because
You'll see it.
in order to be a self-employed estate agent, it's more or less you're in it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's where most of these people come from. They're in it for themselves. They're not in it for anybody else. They're not want to help anybody else. They're just in it for themselves. They run about in a Porsche. They run about in a BMW, a high-end BMW M5 or M3 or something like that. Now, I'm not decrying people that run about in BMWs or stuff like that, but that's typically the estate agent's car, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
BMW M3 and M5. It's look at me, Mr. Flash or Mrs. Flash or Miss Flash, whatever it is. It's like, and for me, it's like, it's
Yeah.
I just detest that image of a state agency. It's just no me. It's just, my image of a state agency is to helping people get from A to B in the most efficient way possible and maximising the income at the end for them, and you get paid as a byproduct of what you do. And you've helped them to the next steps.
Yeah.
Whereas the model typically is like, well, we'll make money out of you and I'll be able to buy a fancy car.
Mm-hmm. Do you know, to kind of round up on power and fame and things, and you'll have seen this a lot over the years, Jim, as people become successful and gain wealth, do you see that their attitude changes, and sometimes not for the better?
Horrible sometimes, seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it as well.
But they'll not last long. These people don't last long, and you will find that these people are the people that are actually unhappy. And that's the people that other people point to and go, see, they've got all that money and they're still unhappy. Yeah, because they never understood the remit. They never understood the journey they needed to take to be happy. They got the brief wrong. They ended up climbing a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. That's what they got wrong.
Yeah.
And then by that time it's too late, because guess what? They've committed themselves to the payments every single month for a BMW. By the way, BMW is proud to say that 95% of BMW owners actually have them on finance.
Yeah.
They say that, and it's to encourage more people to get it on finance so they can make more money and sell more cars. So they actually use it as a, almost like a, oh wow, I've got my BMW, and it's like, geez, you've got a whole lot of debt at the same time on a depreciating asset. Good luck with that. It's like, I'll just stick well it gets from A to B in the most efficient manner possible, the most cost-effective way, and I'll take the money I'm saving on that and I'll invest it for my future and my children's future.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I see a lot of people going about in flash cars, and you just know it's like, well, you've not bought that, so it's clearly.
But for most people, they're impressed. It's like, I remember I used to get cars, and everybody used to come around me and go, "Oh, let's see your car," and I'm like, "Well, it's just a car." It's like, here's the keys, go and have a look at it. Then it's like, you're not coming with me. It's like, no. It's like, it's just a car. It's like, I didn't want to drool over it. It's a car. It gets you from A to B, and it's maybe comfortable. That's about it, really. But for other people, it maybe motivates them to do something. Maybe it is their passion. Maybe for some people, it's like, wow, I love cars, and I really racing cars and upgrading cars, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe they like working on them, so they get the cars for that. I mean, my next door neighbour, flipping heck, camper van heaven for him. It's like he loves them, and I got a camper van as well. We've both got the same type of camper van, so it's like we're in our element. And I'm like, go and come and give me a hand with this, and he's like coming round, and he's like, this is what's wrong, and this is what you need to do, and it's like, and I think it's fantastic because I've got a good relationship with my neighbour as a result of that, because we've both got the same camper vans, and we both love it. We both love doing it. It's like, I've not told him some of the things I've got because I didn't want to gloat. It's like I've got a combi boiler shower. So I could basically park myself out in the middle of nowhere at the side of a pond or a river or anything like that, and put the pipe into the water, and it takes the water from the pond into the wee combi boiler and actually gives you a hot shower in the ensuite outside. Completely self-sufficient. So you can be nomadic and be out in the middle of nowhere and no need anything. But that's ultimately, that was just personally for me, and I love that. But I never put anything on social media. I never put any photographs on. I never gloated over it. Oh, look what I've got. It's like, no, it's just for me. It's just for me for convenience. I don't want to run around Glastonbury at 9 o'clock in the morning on Thursday on a park run, because they're all doing it. There's about 500 of us that usually do it. So we all run at 9 o'clock. By the time we're finished at 10, I then have to queue up with everybody else in the showers. And by the time we're finished with the queuing up and getting changed, it's 1 o'clock and everything's started. I've missed the whole morning. I'll get up at 6 o'clock and run, and then I get sorted. So I can get up at 6 o'clock. I can get straight into the showers as soon as they open, so I can get front in the queue, so I can get changed and turned around. But this time, I can change, and I can just change and actually shower and shave all at the same time. And I've got my own facilities now. I don't need to bother about anybody else. I don't need to queue. And that's what I got it for.
Yeah.
Efficiency and get back the time I want. I want to go and see all the politicians talking. I want to hear what they've got to say on climate change. I
Yeah.
want to hear people on the BBC talk about what they do when they do their planet, the green planet and the blue planet and stuff like that. They come to Glastonbury and they've got stands in the Healing Fields and in the Greenpeace field and the all the different
That would be
places.
quite good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get to see all these things. I get to lift the cameras out and use them and everything like that. And then I get to ask them all the questions about, so how do you use this camera? Does it automatically focus? No. It doesn't automatically focus. So when they're panning round and a bird's flying away, they're having to autofocus with their hand at the same time as they're panning round and zoom in. They do all that themselves.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah. And they said, here, have a shot at it. And I was like, I was brilliant at it. I was like, superb. And because these are all the things that float my boat, and I practice all these things and I understand how to work all that. So I really get into it. That's the thing. That's my passion. That's what floats my boat. These sort of things. When I've done all my shower and all the rest of it, I'm straight in at 8 o'clock and I'm sitting with all the other hippies in the veggie tents and the vegan tents and stuff like that, and we're listening to Shangri-La music and and bells and the all these people we're all with each other as one. We've all got the same sort of purpose. We're all connected to each other, and because we're up and everybody else in their tents getting over their hangover, where we're all up enjoying the world.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss all that.
Yeah, up and enjoying your passions. And that's what we're talking. The next thing's purpose and passion, but we've already started talking about passion, and whether that's cars or whether it's cameras or,
Think about it. I would never have been able to buy that stuff if it wasn't for the wealth that I've made.
The money, yeah.
That's the point of it. That is the point. I don't need to wait. I've even got a double bed now. I've got a double bed and a bigger tent. I'm no longer in a wee single tent. It's like I could go a bit bigger here.
Yeah.
I could have my own, and I've got my camper van. So my camper van's getting left at the top of the field with my shower and everything like that. And then we're going into camp in the main arena. But I'm going to park myself so I'm right there. I've got my double bed, and then I'm in my wee tent, and I've got my seat there. I can sit, and it's right focused on the main stage. So when everybody else is in about each other, and I could just go up and sit at the campsite, and I could sit in the cover of my tent and watch the main stage.
Yeah.
I did that with Elton John.
Mm-hmm.
Streamed it live as well. Had 50 people watching it.
But that just shows how the driver of your passions has driven you throughout the years, obviously, because
I just want to solve problems that take up my time.
Yeah.
I just want to solve problems that take up my time. And this is what allows me to do it. And these problems are the things that encourage me to do it, because then I've got more time to do the things I love and engage with the things I love and talk to people about all these different passions and talk to them about their passions. I love hearing about people's passions, about what they're float their boat. But I know I talk quite a lot, and obviously I hog the show most of the time. But that's what that's what I love about Glastonbury.
Because you're passionate about it.
Yeah, the music in Glastonbury is just a byproduct.
Yeah.
It's the engagement with other people there. It's the most important thing for me. It's not the partying though. It's the actual social interaction. It's not the booze, because I don't drink.
Yeah.
And it's the different types of food though. It's like you get the Indian food, and you get the Bengali food, and you get you get all the different stuff. The Hare Krishners have their own food tent as well. You go in, you get everything for free, and you chant Hare Krishna and all the rest of it, and you all have a good time, and you speak to them and everything like that. They're fantastic guys and girls. But it's just, you will not get that anywhere else in the world, all in one place.
No.
That's what's unique about Glastonbury.
Yeah, you really need to think about what your passions are and concentrate on what you love to do, and then really push yourself outside your comfort zone in order to do that and achieve it.
Yeah.
And really change things for the better for yourself and everybody around you as well.
Yeah. Why are you going to a job every single day? Everybody, ask yourself that.
Yeah.
Why on earth are you going to a job every single day? 91% of people go to a job they hate.
Yeah. And it'll probably,
Why are you still doing it then if that's you hate it? Go and find another job, for goodness sake.
and a lot of people just respond and say, well, I need to pay the bills, or you know, something.
But they
Some
can
generic
easily find
answer.
another one.
Yeah.
But people don't believe that they can easily find another one. They don't have faith in themselves for that reason.
Yeah. And then let's kind of round up today talking about one of the big drivers is people strive to be the best, or be the best at what they do, or be the best version of themselves. Would you say that's something that you see in people striving to be the
I
best,
think
or
that
to
comes
achieve?
after. I think that's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization,
Yeah.
and that's probably one of the last things, because obviously survival is the most important thing, food and water,
Yeah.
and then it's all about sex and love and all the rest of it, and then it's
Mhm.
about something else, family and everything else, and then community, and then it's about self-actualization. It's you want, once you've got all that and you can survive. It's you want to be the best. It's like what you said. You want to be the best at what you do. But for a lot of people, they'll never get past the they'll never get past the survival thing.
Yeah.
They're just living from hand to mouth because they don't know how to get out of that equation. They don't, and it is. I know I talk about it quite clinically. I
Mhm.
know I talk about it quite clinically, like when I said equation, but it is an
Yeah.
equation. It's they've got time equals money, so every hour they spend is monetized. This is why when I go into some people and they go, "Oh well, it's like somebody's going to be able to do it for cheaper," and I went, "Okay, you're instantly devaluing my skill because they know me and they've got no skill anywhere near me at all in terms of what I do. So don't devalue my services in terms of what I do, or I'm not the person for you." And most people actually get, "Oh, I never thought of it like that." Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm buying your skill. I'm not buying your time here.
Mhm.
It's and that's the thing. So to be the best in what drives you is definitely excellence. Excellence in my field and what I'm doing right now. That's probably what anybody. And for anybody, it's like they want to be the best at what they do. They want to be
Yeah.
recognised. They want to have the recognition.
Yeah. All kind of all has a knock-on effect and kind of
I mean,
falls
look at
in.
this. Look at this. Imagine if I said to you tomorrow, I tell you what, I'll just call you a section leader in terms of lettings director. How
Mhm.
would you feel about that? See
Yeah.
what I mean? It's the same job, isn't it? You'll still be doing the
Yeah.
same job, but I'm just going to give you a different title. It's like, whoa, 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 man, whoa, 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 title. My title kind of
Yeah.
defines me. Wait a minute. It's like I enjoy that title. It's like, and for a lot of people, that's primary driver. They, just,
Yeah.
they want
Definitely.
that. They want that status, and instantly when you change that for them, you're demotivating them and taking that away from them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think to striving to be the best, and be the best version of yourself is something that it's a driver for me. And I know that obviously most people will be in the same kind of mindset.
But ambition leads to excellence and sets high standards for others to follow.
Yeah.
That is a real good thing. Ambition leads to excellence. You should not extinguish your light in order for other people to shine. You
Yeah.
should shine. You should shine as
On your
bright as
own.
possible, and it's up to other people to shine as well because you unconsciously give them permission to shine as well as a result of you shining in their presence. And this is the thing about power of association, how it rubs off.
Mhm.
So as human beings, your our ultimate aim should really be to shine, to be the best version of us that we can be, but not to the point where we are gloating about it.
Yeah.
In other words, someone else has to not succeed for you to feel better about yourself, and you have to be better than them to feel better about yourself. No, no, no. You should be feeling that you're better than you were yesterday. This is what we talk about, the gift of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do something today to give your next self tomorrow the gift. In
Yeah.
other
And I
words,
think,
go out for a walk.
yeah, and what you've said before, and we say it quite a lot, is it's not, don't try and beat everybody else, just try and keep beating yourself. You know, keep trying to do
Yeah,
better. Yeah.
no physically.
No, no.
Beating. Try to be a better person the next day.
Yeah.
Do one thing extra that for someone that you would never have done before. Do something good for someone. This is the random acts of kindness that I do sporadically. I don't broadcast it on Facebook or anything. I just go about and do it. Like give people tickets for free events, and
Yeah.
I carry money in my pocket all the time, but it's only to give away to other people. It's no for me to spend because I've got cards to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see somebody struggling in the street, I kind of think, how the hell are you sitting in the street? What's going on there? Now, this is a mental health thing. That's the problem that they're sitting in the street. But can we not resolve this? Everybody should have a home, by the way. Why have these people not got a home? Why have we not got places for these people? Well, we can't build a home. Well, why have you not got them in? Why have you not got them in temporary accommodation and caravan sites?
Yeah.
I mean, is that no better than actually living on the street? And then why have you not got support services at the caravan site then for these people as a drop-in centre right on the doorstep? Because they're there right in front of you. And you can help and support them as a result. That's more cost effective than having to build a house and manage it. And that's a really quick solution to solving homelessness. But nobody wants to look at that option.
Yeah, that's interesting to think it like that, definitely, because there is solutions, but people are just not obviously putting them into action.
Blinker.
Yeah, the blinkers. Yeah.
They don't see outside of what they're getting told. Remember, politicians are only getting told this. They're getting told the answers. They don't know the answers. They're getting told by the civil servants that are running the background, compiling on analytics. They're then compiling the analytics, presenting it to them and writing their speeches for them, and then they're just reading them out. And then they're more or less believing them. It's like, okay, so just let's dive into that a bit more. Oh, well, it's like, that's because you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. It's just because somebody's written on a bit of paper for you. So I think that's why I stick to my knitting and I eat my own cooking and I stick to property and housing, big issue. And so on and so forth, because social welfare and psychology and all the rest of it, and why people do what they want to do, it comes as a result of you're dealing with people. You're not really dealing with houses. You're dealing with people. Everything's a people business, by the way. Everything's a people business.
It always comes back to definitely. But yeah, and it's like you say, Jim, all these things, but you have a passion for these things and you continually build your knowledge and I do as well, so that you're the best at whatever that is. I mean, whether it's, like you say, it's housing, or whether it's investment, or legislation. As long as you keep building your knowledge and you're confident in yourself, then it comes through and shows you as the expert in that field, and that ultimately then results in your own success. But there's all these different drivers, and I know I said obviously the 6 key drivers today, and we've explored a few more, but there's lots of drivers that drive people, and it just depends on the individual, I think, as well.
Yep.
But then finally, obviously, it's how to get motivated and actually stay motivated. Do you could say about all these drivers and things, but
this is external and internal. It has to be internal.
Yeah.
I could motivate. I could do a seminar and pump everybody up in the crowd. And I'll tell you, they'll be feeling fantastic when they walk out. You've seen it when I go to the property seminars, and then you talk to everybody and they go, wow, God, I can achieve this. You need to mentor me. And I'm like, well, I don't do that sort of thing. I do the wealth creation show, and you can go in there. And then you'll have people it's like, oh, I really need to get in property. And you show them what can be achievable. And then after a period of time, it fades off and then they disappear. Yeah, they get motivated. It's external motivation, which is what you can have that now and again, but you have to realize it wears off. So you have to keep topping it up all the time. Hence the reason why you need to keep going to groups and events and listening to podcasts and reading books and all the rest of it, and have mentors and uplines to help you on that journey and paying for that service. That's external motivation. Internal motivation is different. You're the person that creates that. And that's out of your dreams, hopes, aspirations, and goals. Once you get that and write that down and that becomes crystal clear in your mind, nothing will stop you.
Yeah.
Nothing can stop you. It is the biggest energy source that you'll ever have in your life is internal motivation, the internal motive for action. No one can take it away from you except you. This is what I talked about earlier on when you were away on a sabbatical the other night. It says about the fact that you know, don't do things for other people in terms
Yeah.
of, I'm going to lose weight for you. I'm going to stop drinking for you.
Do it
It's
for
like,
yourself.
because you're putting pressure on them as if to say, if they start drinking, it's their, oh, it's your fault I'm started drinking.
Yeah.
It's like, that's no fair. Don't do that to someone else. Do it for you. And then the other people will see and realize it's like, wow, you have turned a corner.
Yeah,
And I've done
definitely.
it. Done it myself. You know, it's like people then realize it's like, oh my God, this person's serious.
Mhm.
That's why you think, how on earth could you stop drinking for 7? If somebody said, yeah, if I said I was going to stop drinking for 7 years or 8 years, it's like, and I was going to be a vegan and I was going to start triathlon, it's like, are you bloody nuts? It's like, are you an idiot? It's like, there's no way I'm going to do that. I love my booze and I love my food and I can go past a butcher shop and it's like, oh my God, raw meat. Oh, it's like, but now it's like, doesn't put me up nor down.
Yeah, because you've changed that mindset.
Yeah, change the mindset, but I've got different motivation and primary factors,
Yeah.
and it's to live longer. And you ain't going to live longer.
And
You know,
that's
if you're
the
not
driver.
exercising, your brain's going to go doolally eventually, and your body's going to give up as well. If you're no exercising and you're no eating the right stuff as well, you're going to get toxins in your
I'll
body.
catch up with you.
Therefore, it's
Yeah.
going to wear out quicker as a result. That's why when people smoke, it's like their skin's all drawn and gaunt. And when people
Yeah.
drink a lot as well, their you know, their
Red.
hair and their everything's different about them. You could put me next to somebody else that's 57 and they'll look ancient in comparison.
Yeah.
And I know people that were at school with me like that, and they're heavy drinkers and heavy smokers. But it's the toxins that you're putting into your body that's causing that problem. And they
Yeah.
argue the case and for their failings. Let's be honest, it's their failings and their weaknesses, because it is a weakness,
Yeah.
because they're doing it for a reason, to forget something that's happened in the past, the trauma and everything that comes with it, or something that's happening right now that they don't want to focus on. That's why they do it, and primary
Yeah.
factor.
Rather than addressing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I'm like, no, bring it on. Bring it on. It's like, I'll deal with it. What's the worst that could happen? I'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. I think,
or I'll not be here tomorrow. Well, that's the worst that could happen. It's like, so I'd
yeah.
rather be here a lot longer.
And I think really, no matter what you're doing, whether it's in your personal life, professional life, things, motivation's such a key thing to have. But you need to have these. You need to identify what the drivers are for you, and then, like we said, you need to be asking these questions like, "What is your passion?" and "What are you
Yeah.
doing it for?" And yeah,
I am convinced I am here to help other people to get to their next stage of their journey.
yeah,
That's all. That's my purpose. And it's like, I'm convinced about that. I don't even have a clue who that person is. But do you know what?
yeah,
A stranger is just a friend you've no met yet.
yeah,
And that's what drives me. And the fact that that person, better things are to come. And that person could be, they've been excellent. I could imagine what that's going to be like, meeting these other people that I've never met before, I've helped on their journey.
mhm,
And what I'll do for them and how great I'll feel about, helping them. And see how that primary driver,
yeah.
it's like, and if they didn't want to be helped, they didn't want to be helped. Well, hey, there's
And you just
another
move on. Yeah,
7,900,099,099 people that I could do that with. I'm sure there's somebody else that will want my
yeah,
help. It's just about doing
yeah,
these shows. That's what that's all
yeah,
about. I'm sure there's somebody else out there. And then out there, somebody else will go, actually, I need your help. And then they message me. And that's what
yeah,
happens. And I've done that all this morning. When I've been out walking, I've been like, help someone else. I've got someone else into an event where they couldn't get their
yeah.
stall into the event, so I've managed to do that for them as well. And all these different things I've done for other
Yeah,
people.
helping others. Yeah,
I feel fantastic about it. But do I go and tell anybody about it? Nah.
no. And that's your
I
drivers.
love it. I don't need to
Motivation.
tell anybody else about it. I feel good about it. I didn't need to tell anybody else to feel good about it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's your driver, and that's your motivation, and that gives you that motivation. So I think that's what I mean. People need to ask themselves these questions if they're not sure what their drivers are, or what their motivation, or what their actual setting out to achieve. They really need to sit back and think, right.
Most
And
people,
ask
it's all
themselves,
about They'd love to have a personal experience or something like that of a lifetime. They'd love to travel the world. They'd love to get promotion at work. They'd love to spend time with their family and friends. These are all clues that could what motivates you in life. And I mean, you've written it down here anyway, and that's why I'm saying it. But essentially, that's what it starts off at. And that's what it started off for me. But then it gets a greater purpose after that. That's why you've got Bill Gates. That's why you've got Warren Buffett. That's why you've got Branson. That's why you've got Alan Sugar. Alan Sugar doesn't do The Apprentice for... Alan Sugar does not do The Apprentice for the fame. Alan Sugar does The Apprentice because to inspire people to have their own business and start up in their business. His primary driver is all about small business. That's why Alan Sugar does it. He doesn't do it for the fame. He can't stand the fame bit. He just goes, and that's why he doesn't turn up to some of the events. He appears on the screen and goes, I've pre-recorded this and all the rest of it, because he's probably sitting on a beach in Marbella or something like that. And he doesn't, he doesn't need the fame.
It's just a byproduct, obviously, of what he does.
But then look at the other side of that. Look at one of the toxic people we know, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He
rolls
in the fame. And that is extreme toxicity at its best. And the person that thinks he's going to be the second coming and he's actually going to solve all the poor people in America's problems. He's not. Trust me, he's not. He's just getting your vote so you'll vote him in so he can get the fame and glory again. And his pals can then invest in his business ventures because he's president again. That's what that's all about. He that gets the most attention. Here's what he that gets the most attention makes the most money. And no people like that. That's all they want, the glory and the fame, because they'll attract the most people. Anyway, let's wind it up there.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. But to stay motivated, I think really you need to take action and you need to seek out support from others, and you will fail along the way in anything that you do, but embrace the failure and use it as an opportunity to learn and move forward.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll leave it there today, and we'll be back next Monday as usual at 12:30 for the Wealth Creation Show. So
bye-bye for now.